Would anybody be able to stop Chelsea winning a third consecutive Barclays Premier League title? One thing for sure was the 2006-2007 season would prove to be one of the most exciting and dramatic in recent years. Some thought they had a great chance for glory. For others, it was all about survival. Whichever way you look at it, it had just about everything a football fan could want. So sit back and enjoy the ride as we review a compelling Premier League season.
Rewind to last August, and Chelsea had dominated the transfer market. Suggestions were rife that owner Roman Abramovich was pulling the strings in more than just the financial department. In came Andriy Shevchenko for a record £30 million, and he was joined by Michael Ballack.
Shevchenko and Ballack are not arriving into a team that needs them to be champion. They arrive in a team of champions.
Welcome to Beverly Hills, you have arrived.
The champions warmed up with a pre-season tour of the USA without their French defender William Gallas, who was angling for a move across London to Arsenal. On the opening weekend of the season in the blazing sunshine, new signing Michael Ballack still managed to get wet. Despite the German international joining Petr Cech and Joe Cole on the injury list, it was business as usual for the Blues as they chalked up a convincing 3-0 demolition of Manchester City. England internationals John Terry and Frank Lampard joined Didier Drogba on the scoresheet. And when Shevchenko scored 16 minutes into their next match away at Middlesbrough, it looked like a case of who could stop them. Emmanuel Pogatetz and Mark Viduka provided the answers, with 2 goals in the final 10 minutes to hand new manager Gareth Southgate his first win.
BBC Radio Cleveland. Gareth Southgate's with us here until 6 tonight.
Evening. Southgate had taken over from Steve McLaren, despite not having the relevant qualifications.
If I want to manage, I've got to get my what's called the pro licence. I'm very open-minded about all these things. I think it's important to keep educating yourself. It's something that I'm committed to doing. But by the same token, I think I've learnt more in the last 6 months than I would have learnt on any course.
The arrival of Jonathan Woodgate on loan from Real Madrid was a major coup for the club, and the Middlesbrough-born defender was the ideal candidate to replace his manager in the heart of the defence. Borough's surprise win against Chelsea was sandwiched between an opening day defeat at Reading and a 4-0 home defeat to Portsmouth. A harsh lesson in football management for Southgate.
Who's given them a great lift here, and if he keeps going all the way, he could make it 3. And has a remarkable goal.
It was 7 points from 3 games for Portsmouth as they headed into September second in the table. Goalkeeper David James, along with former Arsenal stars Sol Campbell and Kanu, were proving Harry Redknapp's star summer signings.
I don't see any easy games. Like we missed Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool very early on, but they're waiting around the corner somewhere for you.
Portsmouth did lose Pedro Mendes for 3 weeks after this shocking clash with Ben Thatcher. The Manchester City defender received an 8-game ban.
He come and sat in front of me the next morning, and you can tell by the look in his eyes that it shook him to the core going home and watching the incident. But the player is probably more remorseful than anyone at Manchester City, and that's important for me to say.
Arsenal had ended the previous season with rumours of Ashley Cole and Thierry Henry leaving North London. But just 2 days after defeat to Barcelona in the European Cup final, Henry put pen to paper on a new 4-year contract. In came Tomas Rosicki, a £6.8 million summer acquisition. but there was no Bergkamp, Pires or Reyes. Arsene Wenger, though, was still planning freewheeling football. It was the end of an era for Highbury as work began at the famous old Arsenal Stadium to turn it into a housing development. Their new home, the Emirates Stadium, located just 500 metres away, boasted a capacity of just over 60,000, making it the second largest in the Premier League. But on the opening day, Aston Villa almost spoilt the housewarming party when they took a 1-0 lead. But Gilberto Silva's 84th minute leveller denied Villa's new manager Martin O'Neill an historic win. Arsenal's start of the season went from bad to worse.
After 3 seasons without a Barclays Premier League title, Manchester United turned to Nelson Mandela for inspiration during a pre-season trip to South Africa.
For the young players, it must have been a fantastic experience for them to be in his presence and just listen for a few minutes.
Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo patched up their differences after falling out at the World Cup. New blood arrived in the shape of Michael Carrick, an £18.6 million capture from Tottenham. In their first game of the season at home to Fulham, United were in blistering form, thrashing the Cottagers 5-1. In a relatively easy start, victories at Charlton and Watford followed. Ferguson's men finished August the only side with a 100% record.
Reading had won promotion from the Championship with a record 106 points, but their debut season in the Premier League looked like a much tougher test. The Royals found themselves 2-0 down to Middlesbrough inside the first 25 minutes on the opening day, but a Leroy Lita goal capped a sensational comeback as Reading won their first game 3-2. Defeats away at Aston Villa and Wigan would serve as a reminder of the task ahead. Martin O'Neill arrived at Aston Villa with a glowing reputation, and that was reflected in the Villains' start to the season. With 2 wins and a draw from their first 3 league games, there was early talk of a top 6 finish.
In their first return to the top flight since 1994, Sheffield United came equipped with a manager not afraid to upset the apple cart. Neil Warnock began the season serving out a touchline ban, and his Blades almost produced the first shock, going 1-0 up at home to Liverpool. But a controversial penalty won by Steven Gerrard and converted by Robbie Fowler denied Sheffield United a winning start.
On transfer deadline day, West Ham shocked the world of football by signing Argentina World Cup stars Javier Mascherano and Carlos Tevez. With no financial figures released, the deal was shrouded in mystery and would spark the season's biggest controversy.
I thought it was a fantastic move for us to take us to the next level. Let's accept it for what it is.
The dealings at West Ham overshadowed another high-profile transfer. Ashley Cole and William Gallas finally swapped clubs, with Chelsea paying Arsenal a further £5 million.
Sir Alex Ferguson and Ryan Giggs picked up the Manager and Player of the Month awards, while Daniel Agger's goal for Liverpool against West Ham was an early contender for Strike of the Season. After a 6-year absence, Watford began life back in the Premier League, collecting just 1 point from their opening 3 matches. At 35 years of age, Adrian Boothroyd was the youngest manager in the top flight and was determined to plot a survival course for the Hornets.
Make no mistake, you know, we're not going to come here to be everybody's patsy and get turned over and start talking about relegation and all that nonsense. Not even survival. You know, we're interested in going and establishing ourselves and making a name for ourselves.
A 90th minute penalty for Bolton denied Watford their first point on the road. Boothroyd's side did pick up draws against Aston Villa and at Wigan, but they headed into October in the relegation zone, still searching for their first win.
After his £8.6 million arrival from Crystal Palace, Everton fans were hoping England international Andrew Johnson would score the goals to fire them up the table, and he didn't disappoint. Early September and the 204th Merseyside derby saw the visit of Liverpool to Goodison Park. 2 goals from Johnson sealed an emphatic 3-0 win, Everton's biggest victory over their rivals for 35 years. For Johnson, it was now 4 goals in as many games.
To score against like their biggest rivals and score 2 and beat them convincingly 3-0 was a fantastic day, and it made me proud and my dad proud.
Still in search of a first victory on the road, Liverpool travelled to Chelsea, knowing a defeat would leave them already well adrift in the title race. And their indifferent start to the season continued after a glorious strike from Chelsea's Didier Drogba. With 4 league goals in 5 games, the Ivory Coast international was hitting form. Even Tiger Woods was impressed. Builders Grand Slam Sunday, Manchester United and Arsenal met less than an hour after Chelsea's victory. United hadn't lost to Arsenal at Old Trafford since May 2002. But Emmanuel Adebayor's 86th-minute strike ended that record and United's 100% start to the season.
United's defeat by Arsenal opened the door for Harry Redknapp's Portsmouth to go top with a 1-0 win over Charlton. Pompey's stay at the summit was short-lived after a home defeat to Bolton in their next game. Kevin Nolan's strike was the